Right, we are now in the finals. This deck, I can't say I really would have bet on being in the finals. But, you know, sometimes you just get there. So, I'm going to play first. And this isn't the worst hand, so I think that this is pretty reasonable. Got a 2-drop, and then I've got some various things to do for later points in the game. My opponent is black, so already I am envious, but that's okay. Oh, I wonder if my opponent got that super late Timuret. See, if this thing survives, then I'm probably just going to cast Fate Foretold to make sure I can cast one of my creatures next turn. And that's not really what's going to happen, it might seem. If I don't draw another land, then I still can't do it. But I can cast this Snarecaster, so... My opponent is literate in Bones, which is good. I took Bones in high school, but I never really attained a high level of literacy. Unfortunately, we still cannot cast Coastline Chimera. I guess I'll just cast a Snarecaster. And my opponent has cast the best red common in the set. Well, that's fine. I still can't cast any of these chimeras, unfortunately. So I guess I'll just keep attacking with this Vaporkin. Maybe my opponent will leave something up for Ray of Dissolution, or will cast something for it, rather. I don't really understand the flavor text on this card. Is it like he's angry when he's monstrous and he's asleep when he's a 3/3 trample creature? Well, I'm just gonna Ray of Dissolution that right away. Don't want him getting more counters. I can already barely deal with this Trampling Hill Giant. Cool. Looks like I'll be able to actually attack with my Snarecaster. And maybe play a Coastline Chimera. Yeah, I'll play a Coastline Chimera. Now if my opponent plays a 6th land... Oh, but they didn't. What is this, Boon of Erebos? I was gonna say, even forcing my opponent to tap out would have been pretty good, but... Oh, Anger of the Gods, what? That is much worse, actually. I mean, I guess it's not the worst. My opponent still lost their Cyclops, but... See, now I'm up like a card. Or I guess we have parity, but my creatures tend to be better. Oh, Agent of the Fates. Yep, that's a problem. Okay, so already things are going a little more poorly than I would have hoped. But then again, I'm still at 17, so I guess it really can't be that bad. I don't even have the option of playing 2 of my creatures. So I guess I'll just play this Ox and say go. Alright. And as expected, I lost my creature that would kill him in 2 turns. It's definitely understandable. Do I want to actually... See, I guess I could always draw another Coastline Chimera. But I'm wondering if I don't just play Hopeful Eidolon here. I might actually. Yeah, I'm just gonna cast it because of Agent of the Fates. Okay, that's a good card. But my opponent is a ways off from being able to activate it. Yeah, I guess I take 3. Oh, well that's good. That's a thing that I can mnemonic wall, so... Alright. So I just kind of have to wait until I have some more stuff, but... Grey Merchant. Do I want to return his agent now? I think I do. Do I want an island? No. I just... Yeah, maybe I should have blocked with my Eidolon. So already it is obvious that my Rays of Dissolution are not going to be nearly as good as they have been in this match, which I guess I would have expected. Red-black does not traditionally tend to be the master of life, of enchantments. So I'm going to chump, go to 3. At this point, there are a lot of problems. Maybe I just bestow here. Well, let's see. If I draw that creature, I can bestow and gain a lot of life that way. If I draw my fabled hero. But I don't think I can really afford to wait for that. Alright, well, block here. I'll return agent to my opponent's hand. Opponent would simply attack me with more creatures. I would probably lose. Oh, it's happening. Yep, there's no way I can prevent that much damage. Alright, so I think Last Breath seems good. Swan Song seems kinda good. Mnemonic Wall, maybe. Maybe I bring in my Baleful Eidolon and Shipwreck Singer. Maybe I bring in Bronze Sable because my opponent has so many low drops. For the same reason, Yoked Ox. I think Yoked Ox is good against my opponent. And I don't think the Rays of Dissolution are very good. I have Divine Verdict and Voyage's End. And Sea God's Revenge, which I don't think is very good either, because I'm really not a tempo deck. But yeah, the problems in my opponent's deck are really that 3/2 creature. So I'm not sure how good Last Breath even is. I don't think it's really very good. So I'll bring in another Yoked Ox, maybe a Bronze Sable, maybe a Swan Song. And I think actually black isn't the craziest thing. Although maybe just another mnemonic wall is better. My opponent's deck seems pretty fast, which is the reason that I would want to not bring in the black. But I think Shipwreck Singer is good against an aggro black-red deck. And Baleful Eidolon is good against a deck that also has Death Touch. Fate Foretold is kind of slow. Probably board out Fate Foretold. And I'm not sure if I really need this Bronze Sable or not. May not be necessary. I think that this should be good enough. So I'm just gonna go with this. And I'll play first. I think it's very important in this matchup. His hand is just not very good, but it's not really bad enough to mulligan either. Oh man, what a clutch top deck this Bronze Sable was. Oh no, he kissed my Sable. Feel weird. Yeah, my opponent's deck is just simply a good black-red aggro deck. That's just pretty much all it is. I mean, Agent of the Fates is just an amazing card. You can target it. Oh man, I have to show him my hand. That's embarrassing. Yeah, I love Black Devotion in this format. As you can see, it's pretty good. I don't think that this was the best deck or anything, but it's kind of it performs disproportionately poorly as well, I think. Knowing that my opponent has... Okay. Yeah, knowing that my opponent has discard, I'm not sure if it really would have been better for me to board into black either, because Disciple of Phoenix could take out my ability to play the splashed spells. Let's see, do I just Hopeful Eidolon up my Coastline Chimera? I could Hopeful Eidolon and Swan Song to make a 2/2. And then I could get the Swan Song back with Mnemonic Wall. Although I don't really want to. I think Hopeful Eidolon is just a better card in general. But my creatures are pretty vulnerable to Agent of the Fates. Maybe I have to do that. Alright. Yeah, I think that the reason I needed to make this play is because I know my opponent has Gray Merchant. So going to 11, and then if my opponent plays Gray Merchant, I'm already at 5. That's a big problem. So, you know, it's not a play that I'm happy that I'm making, but it is a play that I think I need to make. And now my opponent is suggesting coordinated assault. Well, my opponent is just really not sure whether they want to attack or not, but this is just kind of strange because now I just sacrifice this bird. It's not a huge deal. Not really sure why my opponent didn't attack with more creatures, but yeah, my board position is, I guess you could call it terrible. But, my opponent still can't attack with all these crappy little creatures. Agent of the Fates is just such a good card. I think that this is the last hit that I can take from Agent of the Fates. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've lost this game. Agent of the Fates just happens to be very good against this deck. On second thought, there may be... Oh, I needed to get my Coastline Chimera to block 2 creatures. Well, I guess I don't die this turn, but it would have been better. Triton Tactics. Now... Well, that is pretty unfortunate. Alright, so this gives me like an additional turn. It's not particularly thrilling. Oh, how miserable. So I can Swan Song this, return that thing to my opponent's hand, or I could just Wages End this. I think Voyage's End seems good. So that my opponent doesn't draw the card. Does this do anything at this point? No, I think I need... I actually just need to draw Divine Verdict, unfortunately. Yeah, this is miserable. This is actually how I expected my deck to play out for the previous 2 rounds. It just so happened that they were so enchantment heavy that having 3 Ray of Dissolution made my deck actually function, which, you know, that's just something which can actually happen. Yeah, there's no way that I can block and not die this turn. Because no creature... I need to double block the Ill-Tempered Cyclops in order to not die. So, I'm actually just going to die. But that's okay. Yep. Alright. Well, I think that this kind of goes to show that this format, Theros, it can be somewhat high variance. So, you know, these cards like Ray of Dissolution, that really seriously did power my deck. My deck was not a very good deck. It was kind of like a very, very poor heroic deck. But just the fact that I had so many ways to deal with my opponent's powerful creatures allowed it to make it to the finals of this 8-4, which I think is... You know, I would not have expected that to happen. So that's interesting, and I think it's worth remembering. This format, people keep saying like that they keep learning new things about it with every draft, and I think that this is just a perfect example of that. You know, you can't say that I drafted an incredible deck. You can't say that, you know, you would have expected it to have performed as well as it did, but just the fact that it had a reasonable way to deal with mid-range creatures in these multiple coastline chimeras. It had an awkward yet plausible way to close out the game in the Horizon Scholars. So just all of that together just kind of allowed it to work, except against this very aggressive, effective, and tuned Black Devotion, Black-Red aggro deck. So it's worth noting, you know, no matter where your deck has fallen after the draft, there's a lot of play to be had in the particular card interactions and in sideboarding. So I hope that you got something from this, and thank you for watching.